Positive Gains is back, and our special guest today is Jay Feely. Jay kicked for 14 years in the NFL. He was a Pro Bowler, current analyst, and a high school girls soccer coach. Head
That's
coach,
right.
excuse me, for the defending state champion Gilbert Christian girls team. Jay, thanks for being on.
My pleasure. Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. All right, man. So first question I had was, what was your most rewarding moment between soccer for you and football? Obviously, you had a pretty diverse and unique background. So what was your favorite moment from both of those?
Well, soccer is really easy, and it wasn't the state championship that we won last year. That was really rewarding, and we've been working for that for 5 years since I started the program 5 years ago. But right before the state championship, I got a letter from one of our girls who had played for us the first 3 years, and she was playing in college now. And when we started the program 5 years ago, they didn't have a girls soccer team. And so I said, well, we need to start a program, and I think we can get enough girls to play and we can be competitive. And so they kind of said, well, we need a coach. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. and my daughter was going to be a freshman. And so she played for me all 4 years. And one of the girls we had was a girl named Michaela Burke. And she was a great player, and we wouldn't have been successful without some of those great players playing early on for us. And we only had 12 girls that first year on the team total.
Wow.
And some of the weeks we'd have 10 girls because girls would be sick or out or hurt. So a few games we played the whole game, down players because that's just what we had. And we won one game with 10 players, 2-1. It was great. But so one of the things I told those girls that first year was, hey, you're building something. You're building the foundation for something that's going to be really special. And you might not even get to reap the rewards of that. Yeah. Down the road, somebody might win a state championship at this school because of the sacrifices that you're making this year and starting this team. And she writes me a letter. She went on, she's playing in college, and her sister was then now playing for me, Hannah Burke, who ended up being the player of the year last year in the state of Arizona. And it was amazing. It was just this awesome letter. And I didn't even give a pregame speech before the state championship. I just read her letter.
Oh, wow.
And got kind of choked up when I was reading it, and basically she talked about that. And she talked about, that really resonating with her and how now these girls were the embodiment of that. Like they have the opportunity to go win a state championship, and it started with those girls who created the foundation and that they did it for you. And then she talked about just how important that program was to her and how much it made her love soccer again, and how much the girls were her favorite memory from high school, those teammates. And that's something that I always talk about with my girls. And it was just, for me as a coach, as somebody who sacrificed and put in all these hours to kind of be there for those girls, it just meant so much to me to get a letter like that, especially from a girl who'd accomplished a lot and was playing in college. And who didn't say a lot. She was not a girl who said a lot. And so it was just really special. And I think that really set the tone to be able to go out and to play a great game and to win a state championship. But, that letter, and that meant more to me than any winning any game did. And, for football, there was a game my rookie year. It took me a couple years. I didn't get in the NFL right away out of college. It took me 2 years of going to tryouts, working out, finally getting an opportunity to get into camp and then winning a job. Yeah. And then when you get into the NFL after, being out for a couple of years, I think there's a little bit, I've talked to a lot of players who've gone through this. There's a little bit of doubt, am I good enough? Am I at that level, especially when you've been out for a couple of years? And so you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to prove both to teams and to the NFL that you're good enough, but you're also trying to prove to yourself that you're good enough. Yeah. And I got a game late in the year. It was December 23rd. It was my daughter's first birthday. We were playing the Bills, and we ended up going to overtime, and I make a 53-yard game winner in overtime to win it. It was my first big game-winning kick like that. And, everybody comes and they mob you and they celebrate. And I was sitting in my apartment at home that night with my wife. We had my daughter who turned 1 that day. We were just kind of celebrating, and we were laying on the floor watching Sports Center. And Chris Berman did the highlights, and he gave me a nickname, and he said, "Jay, see me, touch me, Feely," with the field goal. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, Chris Berman just gave me a nickname, And that was kind of just one of that game proved to me that I was good enough. And it was kind of, you know, a big moment in my career. And it was just a really cool moment as well.
Awesome. Staying on the same track, you know, the elephant in the room, it seems to be this year and maybe a little bit last year, but it seems the last 2 years it's been like this as far as, you know, why do you think so many guys are struggling with the last couple of years? Do you think it's them moving back, pushing the extra points back? Do you think it's the nerves, the anxiety? Because I've always felt like, along with other people, you guys get the blame and you get the credit. It seems like, you know, you drill a shot, oh, you're everybody's friend, and then you miss one, hey, don't talk to me.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? So what do you think
you're either the hero or you're the GOAT, you know?
Exactly.
You're one or the other. You know, that's the nature of the kicking position, and you have to embrace that. You have to love that. And you know, I've always said that kicking's not about can you handle the pressure or can you make the kicks. It's really about can you handle failure. You know, because you're going to fail as a kicker. You're going to miss game-winning kicks. You're going to miss big kicks. And the guys that are really good and the guys that can play a long time, they know how to handle failure. You know, and it's not that they're the best kickers. It's not that they have the best leg. It's not even that they handle pressure the best. I think it's that they handle failure the best, that they don't allow it to deter them. They don't allow it to question themselves and their confidence in themselves. Because when you start to doubt yourself, then your form starts to change. And in kicking, your form is everything. You have to be confident. You have to come through the ball confidently. If you start hoping you're going to make something or hoping you're not going to miss, then you're hesitant and you're not as confident coming through the ball. Or maybe you swing harder than you would, you know, because you're trying to drill it. And, you know, I think that's the biggest key to being a kicker. I watched Justin Tucker the other night, you know, and the game before he misses a 32-yard field goal, you know, a very easy kick, even for a high school kid to make, you know, and he never misses those kicks, but he missed one. And a guy like him doesn't allow that to impact his confidence. You know, he goes back, you look at what you did wrong, you correct it, and you come out and you don't allow that to impact your confidence. Then he has a game, you know, a great game like he did on Monday night and drills a 55-yard field goal into the win, you know, and he's the hero again. You know, and I think the guys that struggle, I think those are the guys that, you know, pressure can be cumulative and it builds for kickers. It builds with each miss. So you hit on something, you know, when you miss extra points, that has an impact on your confidence, you know, and each extra point you miss. And when you move back those extra points to a 33-yard extra point, and you start missing 3 or 4 of those in a year, you know, that builds, because all those kicks that you miss, if you miss 4 field goals and you miss 3 extra points, you miss 7 kicks, those build on each other throughout the year, and it chips away at your confidence, you know. And so I think when they moved that back, that certainly had an impact, and you can see that. You can see guys that struggle with those.
You know, me being a Chargers fan, we've had our share of misfortunes, I'll call them.
Especially this year. On
oh, my gosh. Oh, man. Our clock management is a whole nother issue. But
that's right. We could do a whole podcast.
Yeah. But, you know, we had Young Hoku for a while, and he struggled. And then he left and he went to Atlanta, and now he's thriving. We had Josh Lambo. He left and he went to, I think, Jacksonville. He was doing good. So I always wondered, too, is it a change of scenery with guys sometimes that, hey, maybe they're just getting burnt out and then, you know, they figure, okay, I'm leaving and I get to start off fresh?
It can be, but I think a lot of it is a lack of patience in that position. You know, you have patience with running backs. You have patience with corners. You have patience with the quarterback. You have a receiver who, you know, works through 3 years trying to figure out how to be a receiver in the NFL, and you give him time and he develops and he gets better. And a lot of times with kickers, they don't have patience. You know, Young Hoku, I think he played 2 games for your Chargers, and they cut him. Yeah. You know, last year or 2 years ago, Daniel Carlson got drafted in the 5th round by Minnesota. He plays 2 games, they cut him. You know, Matt Prater played 2 or 3 games with Atlanta, and then they cut him. And then he goes to Denver, and then he has a great career. Now he's in Detroit. He's become one of the best kickers of all time. And I think a lot of times teams don't understand how to coach that position. Yeah. They don't know. They don't have answers. They can't tell a guy what to do better. So the only answer they have is to cut him and bring somebody else in and hope he does better. And so I think because they don't know how to develop, they don't know how to fix a guy, they don't have the patience to try to work with him and develop him and get him better.
Yeah. And I like I said, I'm guilty of it too, but I feel bad. I really do when, again, this year they miss a kick. I get upset. I get frustrated. But some of these guys, I mean, you see what they open up their DMs and Twitter and their Instagrams and what people are sending them. I mean, death threats and all kinds of nonsense. And I think you're right too. The patience between the different positions, because if a quarterback has a bad game, or receiver, there's more leniency. Whereas with the kickers, it's
Yeah, and I've never understood that. I don't get the vitriol. I don't get how. I never understand how you would ever send that to anybody.
Yeah.
You have no relationship with that person. You don't know them at all. You don't have any vested interest necessarily in whether they succeed. Maybe you're a fan of that team or you played them in fantasy or whatever. But, I don't get wishing ill will, on anybody, or why you would want harm to come to anybody, you have your positive gains. I believe in, try to treat people the way you want to be treated and try to, encourage people. And, if somebody fails, I feel bad for them. Like they want to do well. They want to succeed, and I want to see people succeed as well. I'll never be somebody who revels in somebody else's failure.
Right. So switching gears again, going back to coaching soccer for you. A lot of people, would attach yourself and your background in soccer. And all right, Jay Feely, he won a national championship, coming up, and he had a lot of success in the NFL. So, he's our guy. And obviously, the players and your method proved to be right. Was it hard to get some of the girls to buy into the program?
Yeah, at times. And I can be tough. Like, I'm going to push them because I want them to be their best, but I'm going to love them harder too. And I think they have to know that you care about them, that you genuinely care about them and love them and want the best for them to be able to push them, hard as well. And, and I push different girls harder than others, like we had a couple of girls who said, hey, I want to play soccer in college. Like, that's my goal. And one girl in particular told me that as a freshman. I said, are you fully committed to that? That's what you want? Absolutely. I want to play soccer in college. I said, okay, then I'm going to hold you to that standard every day in practice and in games. And it'll be a different standard than everybody else on this team because you're the one girl who wants to play in college. I go, are you okay with that? She goes, yeah, I'm okay with that. All right. So I'm going to hold you that. And there was days where she was in tears, but I also go up, put my arm around her afterwards and build her back up. But I wouldn't allow her to practice at a standard that wasn't a college level standard. Well, she's playing in college right now. And she appreciates and loves the fact that I held her to that standard. I helped her to achieve her best, helped her to become the best player that she could be. So you have to treat different players different ways. I don't believe in treating everybody the exact same way because different players have different skill levels. They can only achieve certain things, and you have to try to get them to be the best they can be for themselves, right. Collectively for the team. But like they one person may be at this level, like that's their very best. And another person's all the way up here. And you have to celebrate those successes similar. Like when this person plays to this level, they're playing to their absolute best. You have to be able to celebrate that and see that that's their best, and congratulate them on that. Somebody else, they may be down here and they're above that, but really their potential is all the way up here. So you got to know how to call them up to that level as well.
And I'm sure you had a lot of parent, not success, but positivity and backing of the parents. I know parents can be both sides at times. Again, that's a whole nother debate.
we've had great parents, and I've never had an issue where a parent was mad about playing time or they were mad about something at all. And I'm pretty open. Like you can come to me and talk to me if you think that something's wrong, address it. Like, let's be a man-to-man about it, like come to me, talk to me personally. Because if I have an issue with you, I'm going to come right to you and you and I are going to sit down and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you face to face, hey, this is my issue, and then we can work through it respectfully. You know,
Right.
I believe that's the right way to treat people. You know, I'm never going to be the guy who says something behind your back or, you know, talks bad about you. Like, I'm always going to deal with you directly, and I expect people to do that with me. And it's been good. Like, we've had great relationships with our parents, and we've had no drama on our teams. Like, our girls, you know, like, I'm not going to allow it, you know, and I'm not going to allow attitudes, and I want great effort. I don't
Right.
care how good you are. Like, I want you to take care of those things. I want you to have great effort. I want you to have a great attitude, because you control those things. No one else does, you know, and don't make excuses. You know, just go out there, play as hard as you can, be a great teammate, and have a great effort and great attitude.
And so when you're coaching, obviously soccer, your background, you know, I won't say it was easy, because nothing in life is easy, but as far as football, you know, were there anything like lessons that you learned from football that you took with you to soccer that you felt might be beneficial towards the girls?
I think it's really interesting, because I coach soccer like a football coach
in a
lot of ways. You know, where I'm pretty intense, where a lot of soccer coaches aren't. I want them to be tough. I want them to be physical. I want a great effort, but also strategically, you know, and I think a lot of soccer coaches, they coach the entirety of the game, right? So they have a system, and they're going to coach their system, and they want their players to play within their system and to learn it and to then go execute it. And they hope that their players are good enough and their system's good enough to go out and win a game. Me, I coach like Bill Belichick. Like, I'm going to take away what you do best. Mm-hmm. And if you have one girl who's a great scorer, I'll double team her. You know, I'll take two girls and put it on her and be like, hey, beat me another way. Yeah. If you can beat me another way, great. More power to you. You know, but you're not going to beat me with this girl. You know, and I haven't seen many coaches do that. And when you coach that way and you come up against a team, you take away that option that they're used to going through. They're used to playing the ball through that girl, you know, and the whole offense runs through her, and she's the scorer and she's the facilitator, and all of a sudden they don't have that. I think a lot of teams, they have a hard time adjusting. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's kind of my mentality as a coach. Like, you know, that's the only way that I can impact games is by, you know, taking away your strengths. Or, you know, if you have a really weak defender on your left side, well, I'm going to attack that side. Like, let's just go through that side. Why beat our head against, you know, if you have a great sweeper, I'm not going to attack through the middle. I'm going to attack on the edges.
No way. Yeah.
And then I'm going to make that sweeper come out, and then I'm going to cross to the middle, and then we're going to try and score. So, like, that's my mentality as a coach. Like, I'm always trying to watch you, see what you do well, and then try to take away your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So what advice would you have for
wait, I got a question. Are you trying to, like, I just thought of this. Maybe you're trying to, like, game plan for Stafford. You're trying to get into my head right here and help Stafford out right now. Like, maybe I shouldn't be so open with you.
No, not me. You know, on the same note, that's funny, because real quick, I think you had tweeted out a couple years ago that you went to, I believe it was the first game of the football season for your boy. And you said you were down in Pima. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you've basically been to Safford then, because we're right there. You know, that's small. But no secret squirrel stuff over here. I'm not on the coaching staff. I don't even go to games, to be honest with you. You know. But yeah, what advice would you have for an up and comer? Maybe somebody wants to be a place kicker, or they want to veer towards the soccer, or, you know, maybe try and do both. What would you say to them?
The great thing about Arizona, it's similar to Florida where I grew up. You know, football and soccer are different seasons. You know, football is a fall sport and soccer is a winter sport. So you're able to play both. You know, you can kick and you can play soccer. You know, whereas up north, they're the same season, they're a fall sport. And so it's really tough. You have a lot of soccer players that would like to kick, but their main sport is soccer. And so, you know, they can't play both. So, I mean, if you're a kicker, if you want to be a kicker, my biggest advice to you is to work as hard as you can in the off season, to work as hard as all the other football players do, because I think you earn your respect from your teammates by the effort that you put in the off season, running and lifting. And then when you get into the season, if you miss a kick and you've been there working out, doing everything you can to get better, doing everything everyone else does in conditioning and running and lifting, your teammates are going to have your back.
Yeah.
If you are off to the side, not doing the workouts, not doing the running and the lifting, and you just come in and kick a couple balls and then go sit on the sidelines, and you're not doing everything that they're doing, when you miss a kick, then they're going to be angry at you and they're not going to have your back. And so I think that you do a disservice to your team and to yourself if you don't have that mentality, and I think it's one of the reasons why I was elected captain on 4 different teams in the NFL by my teammates. And there was no greater honor for me, than having my teammates who are football players look at me as a kicker and decide, hey, I want you to be one of the leaders on our team. That meant more than any Pro Bowl or any contract or anything else that I could have got. Like, to have the respect of my teammates and to have them look at me and say, hey, we want you to be one of the leaders on our team, that meant everything to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does 2021 look like for you? I know you guys are going to try and defend the title. You're still doing the analyst work as well.
Still working for CBS.
Yep.
It'll be interesting because, our season got delayed. All winter sports did till after New Year's. So we start up January 5th. And I'll be in the middle of the playoff for CBS. We'll have just finished up the regular season. And we have the Super Bowl on CBS this year. So I'll be on the playoffs all the way into the Super Bowl. I'll do the Super Bowl with CBS. And I'll be bouncing back and forth. I do all the games Monday through Thursday here with the soccer team and practice. And then I usually fly out either on a red eye Thursday night or Friday morning and go do my game for CBS. And then Sunday finish the game up, hop on a flight and come back and be back in time for Monday practice and get going with the team. And, I kind of like it. It's fun. I got a couple of great assistants. This year we added 2 girls as assistants. My daughter is one of them.
Okay. And
then another girl, Grace Johnson, who played for me as well. So great to have 2 former players who are also girls that have a different perspective, than us. I have 2 assistants who are guys, so us 3 guys. So I was really excited to have them out there where they can push the girls in a different way and they can talk to them in a different way than I can, as a 44-year-old man, I really love having my daughter out there. It's fun to be able to have her out with me, coaching with me and getting to do that. We had the father-daughter relationship as player and coach for 4 years. And now we got it, it's a little more more harmonious when we're coaching together than when I was coach and she was player. She'd give me this looks all the time when I would correct her. And I'd be like, hey, I'm your coach. Like, do what I tell you to do.
And too, like you were saying, back towards the advice, working hard. I think the girls, obviously, you're a living testament that they see you flying back and forth. You're making practices, you're making games, you're putting in the same amount of effort, and actually more work. And, you're still there. So I'm sure that drives them as well, to be great and do their best.
Well, and I think they see me fail at times, mess up at times. You're gonna screw up on TV.
You're human.
You're not always gonna be perfect, right? And I think it's good. I think, as coaches or teachers or parents, like, we do a disservice to our kids if we're not open about our own failures. And I heard a Navy SEAL give a speech one time when I was in the NFL. And one of the things he said that really struck me was, to be a great leader, you have to be willing to share your scars. And in the Navy SEALs, sometimes that can mean the difference between life and death. For us, it's not life and death. For them, it is. Like, you got to be willing to tell your guys where you messed up so that hopefully they don't mess up there so they don't die. But with our kids, and as a coach, like, you have to be willing to talk to them about your failures and how you overcame those failures, and don't put on this facade that we're perfect, that we don't make mistakes, so that they can see where we've messed up. They can see where we failed. And then also they can see how we overcame it. And that failure is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, in the moment, it's not fun, but most of the time it leads to our greater successes. And so I think that's really an important lesson for them to learn.
Absolutely. And you can learn a lot in losing. I didn't believe that early on. And then once you lose, a few times, it changes your mindset. And obviously it's not something that you can control because it is a team sport, but it does force you to work harder. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely hard. It never gets easy. But yeah, Jay, I appreciate you coming on today. This has been real good.
My pleasure.
Good luck to you as you guys go to defend the title.
Appreciate it.
Good luck again.
My girls today, it's a lot harder to win it a second time than it is the first time. Everybody's gunning for you. There's that complacency that sets in, and we have to work a lot harder to win it a second time than you do the first time.
The target has been painted.
That's right.
But again, thank you. You're welcome back on anytime, and I appreciate
it. Keep up with your good work.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll see you.